What's up, guys, and welcome back to the South America Challenge. This is game 2 of the best of 3 between Isurus Gaming and Battlezone. Currently, Isurus leading 1-0, and Battlezone, their last game, had a strategy that just never got off the ground. It was a little bit too slow for what they actually needed to do, and they just got steamrolled. So we'll see if they can bring it back here in game 2. This time the axe is going to be banned out. We're HeflaTV, I'm Mikelorus, and I'm going to be joined by GrandisV. Looks like this game is going to look a little bit more normal.
Yeah, I think so. With Shadow Fiend, Troll, Slark, and Axe hitting the bin, we're going to see a lot of these top-tier supports that have managed to slip through to the pool that were banned out very heavily in game number 1. I'd expect Lion to be involved in some way, shape, or form, but this is a lot more comfortable, at least in the current meta, for most teams at the very least. Axe being banned out this early on is normal.
Yeah, he got all the way to the 4th pick of the last game, which is just so weird to see nowadays. Shadow Fiend and Slark, we're seeing last game, didn't really have the highest of contributions. Looks like Isurus going to jump right back onto the Storm Spirit train. It worked last game, but there's definitely a difference here in that Storm Spirit is already going up against one stun, and that one stun of Battlezone in the last game actually did quite a bit of work. So this Storm Spirit is going to need a little bit of protection, a little bit more protection for Isurus. There are always risks whenever you decide to first pick a hero that is so reliant on mobility.
Yeah, and I think one of the best ways they can protect him is by picking up the Lion here, just making sure that he doesn't have to deal with the instant disable coming out from the Hexerary Spike. Earthshaker comes out as a close second, however. Defensive Fissures are another way that you can protect your Storm, especially in the laning stage.
But Battlezone, they're going to grab the Rubik and the Venge, and now they have 2 stuns. Lion is going to be left in the pool by them. They might want to ban it out as, well, they just banned out the Skywrath Mage, so it seems like Battlezone going to try to minimize the CC effects that Isurus have. I wouldn't be surprised to see that Lion right now, but for Battlezone, I'm pretty sure if it's not going to be banned out by Isurus, they're going to be more than happy to grab a Batrider here.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. Just having that offlane initiator is wonderful, and they already have the most popular counterpick to it. And although picking Batrider into Earthshaker is suboptimal, it's still a lot better than picking it up into the Nether swap. I think the only reason that Battlezone are prioritizing the Rubik here over something like the Lion is that they have Earthshaker on the enemy team, and Fissure is just such a wonderful spell to have on any hero, and especially on Rubik. A 0 cast time Fissure is amazing.
And it's also super easy to steal just because it takes so long. You see it winding up, and then if you're not hit by it, then you'll be able to grab it most of the time and then throw it right back. So Battlezone opening with their 2 supports, and Isurus, I mean, they have 1 support. Shaker is kind of the start of what they need, but definitely they need a little bit more in the way of lane control. As Battlezone, with these 2 supports, they can roam fairly aggressively. Rubik, not the highest damage hero, but just with sheer control, they could sit on DDX in lane and just make sure he doesn't get off to a good start, and they should, seeing as how last game went. Or they can go for an offensive tri-lane and then try to shut down Pepita. Either way, Battlezone have options, and they're aggressive options, which are, it's pretty good after you just lost the game. Going full-on turbo aggro because you didn't get your fast start last game seems like a good way to go.
I'm actually pretty surprised to see them ban out the Batrider. It's not something that a lot of teams would be comfortable picking into a Vengeful Spirit, but it's still a decent pick all around. I think this means that they're going to prioritize the Clockwork for their offlane.
Yeah, so you normally don't ban out that Bat if you have possession of the Vengeful Spirit. That in and of itself is pretty much kind of like the Bat ban, but seems like they're just really worried about that initiating hero, which, I mean, it is dangerous, but with Isurus, they already have the Storm Spirit that is 1 hero to initiate, and with Earthshaker to follow up, I don't really know how high on the priority list Batrider would have been for the Isurus gaming side, but what's done is done. Battlezone's still looking for a couple more cores. Not going to be that Clockwork, not going to be that Sniper. The initiation is almost guaranteed to be in the hands of Isurus in this game.
Yeah, for the most part, there's no great heroes left in the pool that can really initiate on the same level as a Storm Spirit, and reliably too. Let's see what's left to Isurus. They already have their mid lane filled, and although the Earthshaker can be sitting in lane as a support, I think he's going to be pretty nomadic this game, slipping between top and mid, wherever he feels that the enemy supports are, really.
Yeah, wherever the enemy supports go, the Earthshaker wants to be, especially in order to try to protect DDX. Last game was kind of weird to see just because DDX had absolutely no pressure applied to him, got a couple of easy kills, and was very quickly hitting that level 6 mark. This game looks like it's going to be a lot different, as Storm Spirit is going to have a rougher time getting to that level 6, and therefore his impact in the game will be delayed. Isurus, they're going to grab the Witch Doctor. You know, it's another one of those really powerful support heroes that didn't get banned out, so you might as well grab it. And then Battlezone, they decide to go for a Bristleback.
Yeah, a pretty interesting pick for them. It's going to be hitting pretty hard with the Minus Armor coming out from the Venge as well as the Viscous Nasal Goo. And they also have the Vengeance Aura working with the Bristle, so he does have a decent amount of support behind him. And it's also a hero that Isurus might end up having difficulty killing. Although with a Witch Doctor Ultimate thrown into the Bristleback, that's not out of the question, but it's a reasonable pick for Battlezone, although I don't think it's the first one that comes to mind for me. Where do you think they're going to lane it?
The Bristleback is
yes,
probably going to go to the offlane. Like, it is possible that we see this offlane Bristleback joined by the Rubik and the Venge. That is going to depend on what carry hero Isurus want to grab for Pepita. But I think just defaulting the Bristleback to the offlane, whether by himself or in a tri-lane, is probably going to be the safest bet. But if it is by himself, and if Isurus get a carry hero that could do anything early on, then Witch Doctor Earthshaker is a lot of control, and Bristleback gets tanky, but doesn't really start as a super tanky hero.
No, definitely not, and very susceptible to getting fissure blocked off too. No innate ways to help him out of that, and really there's nothing you can do to fix it. If the Earthshaker's fissures are on point, the Bristleback could have a very hard time. Isurus' next couple of picks should be cores for them, and one of them should be going towards the offlane. There's no great choices left inside the pool. They're going to settle on the Anti-Mage for now, so this is going to be Pepita's hero. Maybe this makes the aggressive tri-lane look a little bit more attractive to put pressure on the Anti-Mage however they can.
And it definitely makes the Bristleback on the top lane solo a lot less attractive, because Anti-Mage is a pretty good hero versus Bristleback. You're not going to easily kill off the pig, but making sure that he has no mana reduces his threat down to 0. Then once Witch Doctor and Earthshaker find an angle, then you could jump in on them. The offensive tri-lane is not going to be just 100% crushed by Battlezone, as Isurus do have quite a few ways of fighting back, but I feel like at this point it is probably a reasonable way for them to go. And if nothing else, this Anti-Mage pick is an Anti-Mage ban out from Battlezone. With Isurus picking up the Storm Spirit, you got to make sure that the Anti-Mage is not a threat, and, well, he's not going to be a threat when he's on your own team.
Well, let's see how Battlezone are going to end up working around this Anti-Mage. At the moment, they have a decent mix of CC from both of their supports, so I'm not sure if they necessarily need to prioritize that. At the moment, it kind of feels like they're lacking some damage. Later on, Bristleback can be a very potent damage shot, but at least for the early couple of ganks, I'm not sure if they really have enough.
Well, I mean, both Isurus and Battlezone have kind of light damage in their supports. Nyx Assassin, though, for Battlezone, that is actually a pretty reasonable pick, I think. It's another melee hero, and that can get pretty awkward, but it adds another stun to the chain stun, and that's never a bad thing. Mana burn is real good versus a hero like Storm Spirit, who lives and breathes by the fact that he needs his mana pool. If Nyx Assassin gets to at all of a decent start, then this hero can get quite a bit of traction, and it is once again putting Battlezone on the aggressive game plan.
Yeah, I do like the Nyx pick here, mostly because of the mana burn up against the Storm Spirit. It hits hard and is really annoying to work around. Even very early on, every bit of mana that you have on Storm Spirit is very crucial to you being able to move through the fights. Last bans are going to come out with Leech Commander taken away by Battlezone and Templar Assassin banned out by Isurus.
Yeah, it's definitely targeting that offlane of Isurus. Their offensive tri-lane capability is very, very narrow. Phoenix also not looking too appealing up against both the Rubik and a Vengeful Spirit, which would probably be the hero that was most of the time going to slip through the cracks and is able to be picked up. I don't really know if they want to go for Beastmaster or something like that, so this offlane selection for Isurus is going to be tough, and for Dulce, it's going to be an uncomfortable time.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's not one of his standard heroes by any means. It's very rare that we see him on something not Axe or Bat.
Well, there's Magnus. Still is not going to have the best time. I mean, up against Rubik Venge, you're going to be under threat. Whoa, okay. Well, this isn't going to make the Magnus's time any better or anything like that, but the offlane Magnus, if he doesn't end up feeding a whole bunch, then having him power on Anti-Mage and or Storm Spirit is really legit.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not going to really increase the farming speed of the Anti-Mage that early on, but later, having Battle Fury and the Cleave coming out from Name power is ridiculous in both team fights and as you pick up your items. Interesting side, Isurus are going to be rocking that side of the map with fullback on the Earthshaker, Nadera on the Witch Doctor. Pepita is going to be handling the Anti-Mage, Storm Spirit going to be played again by DDX, and last but not least, Dulce going to be taking the Magnus to the offlane.
And for Battle Zone, they're going to throw the Rubik the way of Zinder. They're going to let Ewo handle the Assassin. Radix is going to be playing the Vengeful Spirit. Cathuxto is going to be playing the Bloodseeker. Then up towards top, Mihawk might be handling that top lane by himself as that Bristleback. They actually do have an angle here to get a kill on Dulce. He needs to get his skewer out, but there's so many stuns, it'll be difficult. He does get the skewer out, however, Impale also going to miss. Dulce very lucky to actually escape that. Radix holding his magic missile for a little bit too long. Maybe he thought that Ewo was going to throw his stun first. Either way, the Magnus gets to live, and well, we didn't really talk about this Bloodseeker pick. What are your thoughts on it?
It's really interesting. We hardly ever get to see Bloodseeker, and it looks like this is going to be thrown into the jungle with a mid-Nyx Assassin and farming Venge, I want to say. I honestly have no idea how these lanes shake down for Battle Zone, but then... Oh, Fissure Block. Looks like that's going to secure the rune for the Magnus, or is it? He ends up deciding not going for it, and it's going to be Ewo to pick that up.
The problem is with going for it is that you get lifted up and then get thrown on the wrong side of the fissure, and then you're screwed because you don't have any escape route. But either way, it looks like they will grab that bounty rune, and Cathuxto, he might go towards the jungle. Radix definitely has a heavy regeneration build, although that might just be because he hasn't handed off any of his additional tangos to his allies, and it looks like, you know, they'll just have a nice defensive tri-lane right now. We haven't seen Bloodseeker a whole lot, as you have said, but it seems like Bloodseeker is, well, at the very least, going to have a free time to farm up, so we get to see an accurate representation of a Bloodseeker in this game.
Yeah, he's a hero that you can get away with going for no regen, or with no regen with, because he does have his passive, and there's not really anything the Magnus can do to punish this, especially going Skewer level 1. Cathuxto should be pretty free to hit creeps at his own leisure, but then again, so should the Anti-Mage. Already Mihawk's having a pretty poor time up in this top lane. Anti-Mage going for Mana Break level 1, definitely not going to help, and Witch Doctor with his naturally high base damage is going to be zoning out Mihawk nicely.
Now that I think about this Bloodseeker pick, I'm liking it more than more. I mean, I guess they were kind of set on it before they saw the Magnus pick, but in lane, getting top lane fullback is going to land up that fissure onto Mihawk. He's completely walled off, and he probably would have died even without that fissure, honestly. Pito was right on his ass, but Bristleback is going to die, and that's exactly the lane we were talking about earlier. But in this lane, Magnus is shut down, is going to die because he's going to die if he can't get a skewer off. And with Magic Missile, the Circle, Bloodright, and his naturally high base damage, they will just go for Dulce right away, and he's on the run, has boots, and he might actually live because he does have those boots. But even outside of this mag, Bloodright on Anti-Mage or Storm Spirit, that's absolutely devastating. Additional silences are never bad, and Bloodseeker is a carry hero that does have some crowd control.
Yeah, and a very long duration silence too, if you can get that to connect. Ewo is getting aggressed upon by the Storm Spirits. DDX is playing really aggressively. The Mana Burn as well as the Spike Carapace should buy Ewo enough space, however. There's not much that Dulce and Ewo can do, or rather Dulce and DDX can do any further to Ewo. He's going to survive. The rotation for the Mag was a little bit awkward, but there really wasn't any other way that they could have done it after he was on his trip through the Radiant Woods.
Well, Magnus is going to survive for a little while longer, and not dying is priority number 1 for that Mag, and it's really priority number 1 for the Bristleback as well, though Mag definitely doing a little bit better. Mihawk is going to get tankier as he grabs these levels, and it looks like Isurus don't really have the firmest hand over their top lane, so Mihawk is going to get a couple of levels, but Pepita is going to get levels as well, and Mihawk with no mana can't really do anything except for tank up the hits and hope for the tower to do the work there. So it's still a rough time for the Bristleback, but it might be a rougher time for DDX. There's an Invis Venge here. Magic Missile is there. Need that Impale, which is going to land right at the tip of the edge of that range. DDX is in for a world of hurt right now. We'll turn around for a little bit of damage into Radix. Unfortunately, that Fissure misses on that Venge. They have a Skewer available, and they will use it. Radix is going to take a fall here. Zinder getting walled off by that Fissure. Preemptively, I suppose, with Dulce now. Nia turns around upon a couple of right clicks. Zinder going to miss from the low ground, actually. Now fullback with one more punch is going to get this Rubik kill. That was very, very unlucky by Battlezone. That should have been a 2 for 2, but instead, it's a 1 for 2. Might even be more, as Ewo is going to get hit with the cast. Can they get the cast to bounce back to the Nyx? They can't quite do that, but still, Dulce gets to live because he rolled lucky.
Yeah. At the end of the day, however, it's still a kill for Battlezone and on the Storm Spirit to, despite Isurus getting 2 kills in return, I'm going to say that's probably still worth it, although as far as raw CS is concerned, the Storm Spirit still has an advantage over the next assassin, mostly because he's ranged. Iwo is going to keep on falling behind. By no means is this the end of DDX's game, he's still going to have an alright time.
Top lane, Mihawk got aggressed upon that Maledict. Looks like it's only level 1, and it's definitely not enough to get a kill on a Bristleback. But DDX is once again being stalked. He's getting hit with 1 stun. 2nd stun incoming, then into the Magic Missile they go. Fissure is going to interrupt this, but he has no Ball Lightning, so he could only try to run or try to fight back, and neither one of those is really smart. But he's going to get, once again, lucky with these uphill misses. Unfortunately, he doesn't have boots, and it seems like all these heroes are just naturally faster. They will kill off that Storm eventually, and Githuxo is also going to kill off the Mag in the meantime. 3-3 in Battlezone, finding kills on the Storm Spirit, something that they did not do at all in the last game.
Yeah, with everybody so low, Githuxo was able to dive very aggressively into the Magnus, hitting for a truck ton of damage, and now we'll start regenning that up. The Bloodseeker looks to be going for a Blade Mail build this game. Pretty interesting. I'm not sure what the popular build is for Bloodseeker, mostly because I don't think there is one. But yeah, Githuxo is primed to be pretty aggressive. Now has that level 6 up and running, although still no points up in the Blood Right.
Well, since he is just level 6 right now, if anyone else besides the enemy offlaner drops pretty low, then whoever goes in this bottom lane is going to get ruptured and then is probably in for an unfun time. Even though going for the Blade Mail right now doesn't really increase his damage effectiveness, it will down the line, at least just by a little bit. So Bloodseeker is going to feel pretty comfortable on this bottom lane. Conversely, Iwo is not going to feel good at all in mid. He does have his Vendetta, and he will not need to use it just yet. He lands up a 2-man spike, and DDX fullback, without having that level 6 in the Storm, are unable to get that kill. In the meantime, top lane, Pepita in a little bit of trouble, as is Nidera, but they're going to try to turn things around and kill off this Rubik. Mag right on the tail of the Rubik, needs one more hit and a shockwave to get this kill. And actually just short with the magic stick. Charges, Dulce now going to get bled out. Rupture is there, and the Bloodseeker is going to close in and make short work of the Mag. 2nd kill for Githuxo, 2nd kill on the Mag. And, well, I guess Isurus are kind of lucky since their anti-mage doesn't die, but that's a very narrow win, if a win at all. Iwo, in the meantime, is Vendetta'd up, is spotted by a sentry, and it looks like he might be in a little bit of trouble. Earthshaker coming in a little bit slow. Iwo gonna get pulled right back. Spike not there yet. Got canceled by the pull. He now has it available, but there's an anti-mage here. Pepita might get this kill, and it looks like they'll try to give it to him, though DDX is gonna end up getting the last hit. That's a nice, easy kill on the Nyx Assassin. First Vendetta, not too successful.
No, definitely not. Preemptive Sentry Ward coming out from Isurus is going to pay off in a pretty big way. Nyx, although he doesn't need much more than that level 6 to get active around the map, that first rotation, if you can even call it a rotation, he just sits around in the same lane, is a complete failure. Vengeful Spirit going to farm up down towards bottom as the Bloodseeker has been absent. He's going to pick up the slack up towards top, however. The Anti-Mage, although he was involved in that kill, has lost a little bit of farming time because of that rotation.
And Pepita's skill build is actually pretty interesting. It's gone for 2 blink, 2 burn, which is not too weird, I guess. Lacking the point in spell shield and the point in his ultimate, which are usually picked up, instead favoring stats. I suppose up against Battlezone, kind of dumb heroes, honestly. The ultimate from the Anti-Mage isn't really going to be the most useful ultimate.
Yeah, I think this build is completely fine. Anti-Mage more than most is a hero that I like seeing stats on, mostly because his starting stats are pretty bad. And I really can't do much without being in the middle of the fight. I think this build is going to work out favorably for him. Eventually he'll get the point up in the ultimate, but as you've already said, level 1 ulti isn't going to be doing much against Battlezone's heroes anyway.
Well, it's going to progress as normal this time for Battlezone. Githuxo off to a much better start than last time, is dominating the CS. Or, I guess not dominating it, is leading the CS right now. Also has a couple of kills and kill participations under his belt, so he's having a much better time. And Iwo, though he's not having the best of times right now, has everything that he possibly could want in order to be effective as an Nyx Assassin. This game is looking already a lot better for Battlezone than about this time in the last game. They do have to worry about Pepita a little bit down the line, but Pepita is not exactly getting an absolute free time. He does have to deal with Mihawk, he does have to deal with rotations from Battlezone, especially this Bloodseeker, whose threat of rupture is just way too large, so that Pepita is going to feel comfortable, you know, last hitting and sitting in the lane at half-ish HP like he is right now. If Bloodseeker comes in, this Anti-Mage may very well die.
Yeah, it is not out of the question, but for the time being, Battlezone and Isurus both are just farming on their side of the map. Although this could change at a moment's notice, it seems that both teams are pretty comfortable with the status quo. Although up towards top, Bristleback going to start stacking up the Quills. Deeper rotation in from the Witch Doctor, and the Storm Spirit coming in from the south. Looks like Mihawk is just dead. They'll get the Paralyzing Gas connect, and he's way too deep. Mihawk will end up going down, although there is a Rubik lift from the sidelines, which will connect on a Nadera, excuse me. Zender can't do much more. It's going to be just one kill for Isurus.
The Bristleback getting just a little bit too comfortable up in that top lane. You don't really expect 4 heroes to be there. That was a little bit much, but actually Zender sticking around. If a Fissure lands, no, it's not even going to be thrown. But yeah, Bristleback going down there, not really terribly huge deal for Battlezone. In the meantime, there is the Bloodseeker just free farming on bottom lane. Now it's looking towards mid, where they're going to start bleeding out Dulce. And he doesn't really have many options right now as that Mag. Going to try to get out of the circle, but there's nowhere to run to. That was certainly not the right direction to run at any rate, but it's a very easy kill for Gthuxto, and, well, Rupture is being used as we thought the Roar was going to be used in the last game. Kind of similar in how they behave, but if you keep getting kills on this Bloodseeker, then he can get very out of control very quickly.
Yeah, at this moment, Gthuxto is one of the scariest heroes on the map. We still have yet to see the Vendetta used effectively, however. The Nyx, whenever he's tried to make rotations, just hasn't worked out for him. He does have a regeneration rune in the bottle, and with it enough mana to look for that Vendetta gank. But Isurus have been pretty vigilant about centering the map and keeping ward vision up.
Yeah, they have a nice Dire Observer, which will possibly spot UO should he go invis. But they don't really have many sentries up as they were DWARD previously. Bottom lane, they're going to jump in towards Radix. Silence Circle is going to go down, which will be dodged by DDX. They will kill off Radix. Now looking for Gthuxto. DDX running low on mana with the Blade Mail up. Going to be a little bit less inclined to go for this Bloodseeker kill, especially since they don't know who's teleporting in. It was in fact the Nyx Assassin, who is Vendetta up right now. But Isurus, they're going to defend their bottom lane. They're going to get a nice easy kill on the Vengeful Spirit without investing too much of anything.
Bristleback, in the meantime, going to farm up some Ancients for himself by spamming out the Quills and just letting the Ancients attack him so he procs those back Quills. He's going to get himself a nice infusion of gold and is catching up into this game. He's really been the hero of Battlezone that's struggled the most. Zender going to be able to lift up the Storm, but I don't think that's going to save his life, especially not with the Mag coming in from the sideline. Skewer back in. Paralyzing Cast connects onto Radix. Although the mana burn onto DDX is annoying, they have no qualms about dropping an RP onto Radix. Radix going to end up losing his life, although DDX might in turn, with the Rupture onto him and with the damage, he's going to be able to bring down the Witch Doctor, and now a double kill as the Storm Spirit walks and kills himself on that Rupture. Gthuxto is in a really happy spot this game. His next item looks to be a Yasha.
It's a global 2 for 3 in favor of the Isurus side, but losing DDX there really stings. They did take out the Bristleback before he was really able to complete his Ancient stack, was missing those 2 really big ones as he was jumped by a very easy gank. Earthshaker Fissure, Anti-Mage coming in for, I believe, just 1 hit with the Ancients helping out as well, and Bristleback was brought down over near those Ancients, but for Isurus, they're still going to be fine because their Anti-Mage is getting a lot of farm, but Anti-Mage, he's going to need quite a bit more until he's really able to do much of anything. Whereas for the Battlezone side, they have 5 heroes who are more than happy to just go in and fight right now. Up towards top, though, Mihawk looks like he's going to take a fall. Is there a Mana Void? Now there is. Looks like they won't even need it. Storm Spirit zipping in for initiation, and that's a pretty easy kill for Isurus. But Isurus are pretty much fighting at a 4v5 right now, whereas Battlezone are more at a 5v5 or 5v4.
Yeah, at this point it's going to be a really fast Battle Fury for the Anti-Mage, however, Pepita is going to get to that scary spot very quickly, so I'd like to see Battlezone keep up the aggression and look for more kills, and I'd like to see them activate this Nyx Assassin in some way, shape, or form. Although the mana burn's been really nice utility for the team, we still haven't seen any great Vendetta ganks. He picks up an Invis rune, however, and now looks down towards bottom.
Having mana burn is nice as a luxury, but you really need a little bit more if you're going to be picking up from mid. Dulce is going to get jumped. Blood Circle is there, going to get silenced. Gthuxto with so much movement speed is going to get slowed down by fullback. Will it be enough? Dulce trying to bottle it through. If he skewered back into the Bloodseeker, that would have been a kill. Gthuxto going to dodge the shockwave, then straight TP out. And Gthuxto gets to live. Mag gets to live as well. That could have gone so many different ways, but I guess the no-kill way is fine. I mean, no one's really going to be regretting that.
No, definitely not. Earthshaker missing, or rather guessing wrong when it came to his enchant totem, expecting the Bloodseeker to be a little bit further to the south. They'll make it out freely. This Nyx Assassin, however, even though his ganks haven't been coming out as liberally as I would have liked to, he's still going to have a Blink Dagger up at a nice time, and a Blink Impale, although not as reliable as a Blink Hex or something along those lines, or a blink call like we saw last game, it's still pretty darn good. And Iwo is going to have that at the ready, and maybe he'll show that off onto Dulce. He has shown his inventory to the creep wave, so they should know about this and might be able to get this kill. Skewer in, going to be dodged by the Spike Carapace, now turns for the Impel Blink away. Nyx Assassin's going to survive.
In the meantime, top lane, Battle Zone looking to make some aggression happen of their own. They have Bloodseeker just waiting in the wings. They're going to lay Mihawk out as bait, and DDX, you can tell he really wants to take this kill right now. But if he does go in, I'm pretty sure he might just die. If he gets hit with the Silent Circle, then he's just dead. They need more than Nadera DDX here, though. They do know that they're not, or the Bristleback is not alone. They don't know that there's a Bloodseeker here, and they will make the responsible decision to not jump in, as all of Battle Zone are up on this top lane. They're going to smoke up, and they're going to run into Dulce. Has an RP at the ready. He's going to get swapped right back in. Ruptured as well. He needs to cast something, or else he'll just die, but it looks like either way he's just going to die. Bloodseeker is going to claim that one pretty easily, and Rubik steals Skewer. Not exactly the most useful skill, but it's not too bad either.
No, ideally the Rubik will get his hands on the Fisher this game, but yeah, at the very least he does have his level 6 after that engagement, so he's going to be pretty happy about himself, and now's when Zinder can really start coming online. It's actually Robe of the Magi for Rubik. What do you think this is going to be built into? Is this Power Treads?
It might just be, like, you could build Power Treads in the 3 ways for any of those stat items, and it's a pretty safe way to go. Just getting a little bit more strength on your hero isn't really the worst idea in the world, but either way, Zinder is actually doing pretty well for himself as far as his net worth is concerned. Has the urn, and of course has boots, and, well, as a support hero, what more could you want out of life?
Yeah, not much. Another really good spell to get his hands onto his Blink, which Pepita is currently utilizing to farm up the enemy woods. And, well, look at that. Zinder's going to have that. And this should keep him safe 9 times out of 10. Over in the sidelines, Rupture over onto the Storm. He's going to try to make his way out to safety, and it looks like he's going to do so with the ball lighting. Meanwhile, Rubik not going to be so lucky. He gets fissured off as the rest of his team is coming in from the sidelines. Githuxo is currently very low on man, gets Echo slammed, and Witch Doctor ultimate to the face, and Mana Void for good measure. That Bloodseeker is very dead, and they're going to be able to find a little bit more too. Iwo has Spike Carapace to buy himself a little bit of room, as well as the Vendetta. Do they have detection up on any of these heroes? Doesn't look like they will, but they still get the RP onto Mihawk. Sentry Wards down on the ground. The Impale's only going to land onto one, and I think that's Iwo's demise there. Dulce is going to end up losing his life as the Bristleback expand out the quills enough, and will be able to get a double kill in return, but Pepita's still standing strong. The Bristleback's a little too tanky for him, however, and he's going to back off. After the dust settles, looks like it's 2 for 2. Well, actually, with the Storm Strike coming in, that's going to be a little bit more in the favor of Isurus as they mop up the bench as well.
Man, I love it how you said it's going to keep him safe 9 times out of 10. Then as soon as you say that, he gets jumped and killed the Rubik. Does end up stealing Blink again, so he will... Maybe that was just the 1 time out of 10 where he dies. Maybe the next 9 are going to keep him safe, as that one just did keep him safe. But that fight looked really good for Isurus, and it was better for them. But once they got to this area with the trees where you only have 2 passages through, that's when it got really bad. You can't afford to fight when you're being funneled in like that versus when you have a numbers advantage. That's just not how it works. And Battle Zone were able to split up Isurus very well. They could have avoided all that if they were a little bit more willing to commit their RP on that Nyx Assassin. But a little bit of greed perhaps from Dulce, and it ends up taking the kill a little bit longer to actually happen. DDX up towards top. He's going to get ruptured. Has ball lightning out, and he will get a little bit of distance. Still, he is bleeding. Githuxo going to dive right in. DDX going to pull him in, and then Magnus going to skewer him out. There's a fissure there. Githuxo taking a lot of damage. He bit off way more than he could chew, and he's going to die. At the same time, Zinder, he's going to blink in, looking for a lift onto Dulce. He'll find it. Into an impale he goes. Snot is there. Dulce is going to take a fall. DDX and Pepita, though, still in more or less fighting shape. They're going to throw a stun the wave. Anti-Mage Fissure is going to be there to slow down Ewo, but they'll kill off Radix. Now with the cast bouncing with the Death Ward, Mihawk gonna drop very low. Spike gonna try to keep Mihawk safe, but there's way too many Isurus heroes right now, and Mihawk is gonna just try to run. Death Ward stolen by Rubik, almost gonna kill off Nadera. Very close, in fact, with that last quill spray, but it's just not enough. Pepita still looking for a little bit more. He'll blink forward. Ewo stuck in the trees right now, doesn't even have enough mana to help, even if he was able to leave. And Zinder, he's being chased down. He's going to get fissured, and Pepita is going to collect a double plus a slew of assists. Do they know that Ewo's in these trees? It seems like they might. Oh, well, Ewo's no longer in those trees. Here comes Githuxo, moving at 600, 700 movement speed. That seems fair. Fullback is going to take a fall, and with the Nyx Assassin Vendetta looking for a little bit more, won't find Pepita. But after all said and done, I think Isurus come away with a numeric victory there. And even if they don't, Anti-Mage was involved in so many kills and assists, but they're going to lose a courier. And that was a very expensive courier as well. That was a completed Blink Dagger.
Yeah, that's Earthshaker's Blink. That's one of the saddest moments you can have as a support ES when you're pretty much rushing towards this Blink Dagger, only going for the Soul Ring after the fact. Even after that loss, however, of the courier, Isurus is still going to be pretty happy since the Anti-Mage and the Storm Spirit both survive on pretty low HP too. The Storm Spirit playing with fire, or by fire I mean Gethuxto in that last engagement with the Rupture, dropping him down really low. But in the end, DDX found the edge and was able to win with that. At this point, Isurus are starting to snowball out of control. Their Anti-Mage is just getting a little bit too much. And although Gethuxto has picked up a little bit more momentum after rejoining the fight for the second time, it really doesn't feel like he's doing enough with that. At this point, he wants to be ahead of the Anti-Mage. That's just not possible. This hero farms too quickly with the Battle Fury, Vlads, and Yasha up and running.
Well, if the Bloodseeker had a Black King bar, then he could have made that initial dive actually work, but the lack of magic immunity there just meant that he was stunned up by everything that Isurus have, and as Bloodseeker, you're tanky and you're threatening with that blade mail, but you can't really survive all of that. It's just not in the cards, so he needs a BKB if he's going to be successful for any longer in this game. I think it's a complete necessity. It's not really, again, the best item because there's an RP and a Death Ward on the other end, two ultimates that the BKB will not protect you from, but I feel like he just has to go for it.
Yeah, a necessary evil at the very least. Bristleback might be going for that, but regardless, Mihawk is starting to pick up some tank for himself too. And Battlezone are not out of this game by any means, but the momentum is starting to slip into the favor of Isurus. And even though they were pretty even on the kills, their farming efficiency has been better throughout the entire game. Blink away is going to keep the next assassin safe. And, well, let's see, this courier is also going to end up surviving. Tier 1 tower trade is going to ensue in both the top and bottom lanes, as the offlane towers are going to take a fall.
Unfortunately for Battlezone, though, they're going to end up losing 2 Tier 1 in the mid lane as well. DDX is going to instantly silence Gethuxto upon arrival. Can't really go for this kill because of that blade mail. There is a little bit of backup here in the Mag. Mag's still a little bit off of his Blink Dagger, doesn't really want to be diving anything anytime soon, just wants to play it safe, wants to play it slow, grab that Blink. By the time he gets his Blink, hopefully for the Shaker, he'll have his back from the dead courier as well. Then Isurus have 4 heroes who can Blink in and initiate in some way, shape, or form. And that's really scary for Battlezone because they have to watch their vision as far as, you know, when they're going to get jumped upon, but also they have to actually get kills. Bringing people low isn't really going to matter.
No, definitely not. And at this point, their vision really doesn't cut it. They have one ward up towards top, behind where the enemy tier 1 once stood. But really, they're pretty much playing in the blind. Isurus are the ones with the control over this game in more ways than one.
Yeah, their Anti-Mage is still farming it up. Has that ultimate orb now completed. Probably going to be that Manta style, as it's a pretty easy guess with Anti-Mages, honestly. And I don't think it's really going to split him out of too many threatening things. A couple of silences, perhaps, Bloodseeker, maybe an item down the line, anything like that. But bottom line, Anti-Mage is getting quite a bit, whereas the Bloodseeker, he's still doing okay for himself, but until he gets that BKB, he's not going to be contributing a massive amount in this game. At least, it doesn't really feel like it, given his start. They're going to smoke up and they're going to run into Nadera. That's an easy kill if I ever saw one. Will they also get DDX, however? That's a bigger question. It looks like the Storm Spirit is going to get himself to safety.
Yep, Zip TP out. In the meantime, Pavita's been doing Roshan with Vlad's as well as the Coiling Blade up and running. Pavita can do this, and, well, he's going to find himself a solo Roshan and a secondary life for himself and some extra gold and experience for the team. You can't really ask for much more. AM is going to be really happy about that, and even though they lose their Witch Doctor, I think that's more or less a space-created moment for the Isurus side.
Yeah, unfortunately, that Witch Doctor isn't holding onto a Midas. There's no parts of his Aghanim Scepter, so he's most likely just going to be working with this in his inventory for, what, another 10-ish minutes at the very least. So Witch Doctor not going to be doing a whole bunch of anything, but Pepita is lifting enough so as to carry those 2 heroes very easily, and probably a couple more to boot. He is maybe going to be in a little bit of trouble if he decides to blink a little bit too aggressively. The rest of Battlezone are in the area, but their Nyx is not there. Crucially, he's picking a fight with Fullback down on the bottom lane. Looks like he got jumped with an Echo Slam there. Fullback just fell short of damage, was unable to kill that Nyx, and now Battlezone know that there's a Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker. They might know that there's a Blink Dagger on Mag.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty safe assumption. Blink RP is up, Blink Echo Slam is not, however, so maybe Battle Zone can find an opportunity to push into the enemy side, but it's also pushing into an Aegis. And really, unless you get a pick off, I don't think that's happening. Pepita going to bump into Mihawk, although I don't think the AM can kill off. This Bristleback, he can still be very annoying for him. The Bristleback has no backup at this point.
And Pepita is just going to make the safe decision, blink away. He's still not done farming yet. He's going to run into Gthuxto, gets ruptured, and he's going to Manta Style Split and just turn and fight. Gthuxto can't afford to do that. Pepita is going to blink out, which is going to chunk him down real bad. He's going to go right into Ewo, dodge Spike with a little bit of a shuffle. However, Magic Missile is there. Can't quite get another blink out. No, he will, albeit barely. He will hold on to his Aegis. I'm pretty sure you could dodge that rupture damage if you just move a little bit before blinking after having been ruptured.
I think so. I can't remember what the threshold is. If it's 1200, I think you can. I know for sure you can do it with Queen of Pain's Blink, but Anti-Mage's is a little bit shorter.
Well, I mean, let's just say that there are ways to avoid that damage that weren't taken there. Mihawk on the bottom lane is getting pulled right back into the Storm Spirit. Why Ball Lightning in when you have the Mag deliver the kills to you? Pepita is going to steal the last hit, but it's a very easy kill on the Bristleback. They're going to lift up Pepita, who's still holding on to that Aegis because he didn't die last time, and now they're going to try to use this Aegis to push down a tower. With the Blink RP available to them, it's very unlikely that Isurus, or that Battle Zone rather, are going to be willing to defend this.
Yeah, I don't think so. Even though Empower is only level 1, no one can really say no to 20% extra damage and cleave. And Pepita is currently hitting very hard and is entirely battle ready, and he's going to have another big item on top of this too. Currently 6,500 ahead of the Bloodseeker when it comes to net worth. It is going to be a completed BKB for the Bloodseeker, but Anti-Mage can afford to go for bigger and better things. Maybe it's just going to be a straight up hard for him.
Yeah, and at that point, the Blade Mail or not, Pepita has already shown that he could do a lot of damage to the Bloodseeker and probably just get away with it, just a straight up clean race even after being ruptured. With now a Basher coming out to him, there's no way that the Bloodseeker can 1v1 Pepita in a convincing fashion, as the Empower can get stronger and Pepita's items have gotten stronger since they have last clashed. So this Anti-Mage is still just farming his heart out. DDX in the meantime is going for a BKB of his own, and he's more or less there. For Battle Zone, they have Gthuxto with that fresh BKB, as you said. Bristleback's going to go for an S and Y, though. What do you think about this? It feels like it's a little bit too late.
Yeah, I think so as well. Honestly, I would have liked the Halberd a lot better since he was already sitting on that Sanj. The extra evasion would be pretty nice, and the disarm, even though Stormster is building a BKB, and it might not be as useful against the Anti-Mage, I think it's still better than the SNY. This is an item that's really nice when you're ahead and can be used to run headlong into the enemy team and take fights, but I don't think this is the game for it. Honestly, I think a BKB would have been a lot better.
Uh-oh, Rubik. I think you're just dead. He's gonna get silenced and fissured. Has Blink as a skill, which is great, but only if you're not silenced, so very easy kill on the Rubik there. And Isurus, they still have the Aegis for just a little while longer. They don't really have great vision right now, but they're just going to make a blind jump in. Pepita might draw a couple of Battle Zone heroes towards his area. Circle is down. Pepita is going to get silence out of that, but he has a Magic Style, so nothing too dangerous right now. Fissure is going to wall off Mihawk, but the rest of the Battle Zone right there. They're going to instead jump towards the Storm Spirit. Ewo is going to take a kill, but an RP onto 2 is going to catch the Gthuxto, as well as Radix with the Maledict there as well. They'll both take a very fast fall. Death Ward still being channeled into Mihawk, and he's going to get bashed down by Pepita. Mihawk actually surviving for a lot longer than I thought. Echo Slam is there, though, and he has no escape, getting to the front of that Bristleback to get to the fleshy innards, and that's going to be a godlike streak for Pepita, looking for a little bit more. Very nice RP and very nice turnaround for Isurus, even after having lost their Storm Spirit first thing in that fight.
Their Aegis is going to expire, unfortunately for them, and the Venge did swap out the Nyx, so it could have gone worse for Battle Zone, I suppose. But still, a really nice turn coming out from Isurus, off of the back of a nice RP. Tier 2 tower is going to fall, and they in fact blink straight into the base. Pepita is going to get impaled on returning, and will be lifted up as well. Looks like they're not going to be able to get any further kills. The mana burn is going to be annoying to Nidera, but that seems to be the end of it. Hand of Midas picked up by the Mag. I honestly don't think this matters at all, although it's going to be nice to get a refresher in Shiva's. I think that Isurus are in a good enough situation to where the Magnus could buy anything.
I want to say he probably just found himself with Hand of Midas Gold after that last fight, and he's like, well, I have Hand of Midas Gold. I might as well just get Hand of Midas. But yeah, it is going to ensure Isurus stay in the late game and stay relevant in the late game. I don't really think that was a problem to begin with, but hey, I mean, what's done is done. Your mag is clearly already able to contribute a whole lot, and if you get a level 4 Empower a little bit faster, maybe it lines up with another Roshan, and maybe you could make a game-winning push off of it fullback. He is in the mid lane, invisible. Looks like he's going to sneak away from that situation. But yeah, it might just so happen that the timings line up for the Isurus side. They're going to jump into Thuxto, actually. Fullback is going to get joined by Pita and dual save both. Thuxto's going to pop his BKB and is going to not instantly die because of that BKB. Fissure stolen by the Rubik. Just going to keep them all safe until Antimage blinks in, wants this kill on the Bloodseeker. He'll get it as well with that Abyssal Blade usage. They're looking for more. They can't find any more. But, man, Battle Zone, they're just not battle ready, it seems.
No, they're really not. The BKB delaying the death on the Bloodseeker, but Isurus are in a situation to where maybe they can look for a little bit more. Anti-Mage is pretty low on mana, but he'll have more than enough blinks in order to fight, or they could just farm up the enemy woods. Isurus have a commanding lead over the positioning on this entire map. There's not a safe place for Battle Zone to go. Bristleback is going to find himself a kill on the Earthshaker, and although that's a nice boon for Battlezone, might delay the push from Isurus, it's not enough in and of itself, but honestly not sure what the Earthshaker was doing there in the first place.
Yeah, the vision for the Battlezone is still kind of there. They have observer wards around the map, and that's really what matters, so if they can get a couple kills, that's great, but Ewo's going to look to be even trade. He might get his Spike Carapace off before he dies. No, he's silenced the whole time. He won't be able to do that. DDX can make a clean TP out. That's going to be a clean in and out engagement there for Isurus. Even giving away the Earthshaker for nothing would have been decent, because at this point, I don't really think Isurus are interested in going for a high ground push. They're just waiting for Aegis, and they're just going to farm up whatever they can get until the Roshan is back up again, then make that push.
Yeah, and what they can farm up is pretty much the entire map. The Anti-Mage is more than doubling up the Bloodseeker, just because they've had better map control. Giving up the gem as well on the Nyx Assassin is pretty crucial. Anti-Mage's going to blink hard into Zender. My goodness, that poor Rubik did not stand a chance. He's cleaved down in a matter of seconds, really.
And that's going to give Anti-Mage another 3,800 gold total. Probably no more Sacred Relic items for him, but if he wants to go for a heart, if he wants to go for Butterfly, yes, he can do just that. And, well, I think probably at this point, with the Abyssal Blade, Battle Fury in your inventory, and having the Empower extra damage, going for Heart is probably a little bit more appealing, just so that he can survive to do the high damage that he's putting out. But no matter what he gets, it's an item that Battlezone are not going to be able to match, because the Bloodseeker, he's holding on to a Belt of Strength. And I don't really care what he builds up with it. It's not going to match up with a Butterfly or Heart very well.
No, definitely not. Probably a basher for the Thuxto, but he's a long ways away before he even has that up and running. Battlezone's lineup, again, they're very momentum-based, as we kind of saw in the first game, and they're just not getting that momentum. Although the start was a lot better, Pepito was untouched. He's going to get ruptured up towards top, blink away, again taking damage from it, but it doesn't seem like that's going to matter much. The silence does proc onto the Witch Doctor, and they're chasing the Magnus over towards the sidelines. Sidera eventually does die, but then the Stormsteward joins the fray. Straight on to the Nyx Assassin with the RP onto 3 with the Echo Slam to follow up. Godlike and beyond godlike for Pepita as they chase for even more. Buyback on the Nyx Assassin. This might be a dieback too, as Iwo, although he's able to stun up Pepita, can't do very much further than that. He gets skewered back, and now with the Empower applied, and the Sentry on the ground, or rather with the Gem, I believe, still held on by the Magnus. They'll be able to kill him off, making it a 5-for-1, I want to say. Bristleback survives, but that's a dieback on your Nyx.
That was a very expensive fight. Isurus, they only lose their Witch Doctor there, and that is pretty much just what you were talking about. They needed momentum in this game, Battlezone, but they just did not have it. Getting hit with the RP there was bad enough. Having DDX seemingly with infinite mana, with that magic community as well, there's no way that Battlezone can stick onto the Storm Spirit once he has BKB. They don't have a Basher, they don't have anything that goes through that BKB as far as useful disables are concerned. So Storm Spirit's able to zip around, do whatever he wants, and as soon as they clump up, bam, the Magnus is there with his mass attack speed build, because why not? Hell, even if the Anti-Mage wasn't there, I'm pretty sure Isurus would have had a pretty good fight on their hands, and after that huge amount of net worth change, they're going to look towards the Roshan, make it even more. They don't even need to give the Anti-Mage the Aegis. but they might. It's going to be Aegis for Mag, and then they're going to look for high ground in the upcoming moments of this game. Maybe once they have both an Echo and an RP back up.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going to be waiting for, but that's only going to be 40 seconds. Their high ground push is really scary, especially with the advantage that they've accumulated at this point. Upwards of 20,000 in the net worth, and experience a pretty similar graph. In fact, a little bit even scarier for Battlezone. 25,000 in that regard. Radix almost just drops to a couple of auto attacks as well as a skewer. This might get punished, but Pita's going to blink away, still taking damage from that Rupture, but it doesn't seem to matter much. He's going to Manta, and then stop running. There's your RP on to 3, screwing them back in with the Bolt Lightning damage, and now with the Cleave coming out from the Anti-Mage, that's going to be an easy 3 kills for Isurus, and the AM still survives on 60 HP. Probably should think about getting out of there, Pepita. He eventually will, and it's nothing less than a disaster for Battlezone. They couldn't even take down the AM. Blinking for an Echo Slam, killing off the Rubik, as fullback makes that a 0 for 4.
Man, they dump everything that they have into the Anti-Mage. Everything. And they bring him low, but just not low enough. And now Mihawk is going to get aggressed upon Fissure, is going to wall him off, but they have enough crowd control here to just straight up kill him. Well, they're going to lose the Aegis. They might lose fullback as well, but for a full team wipe, yeah, you're probably going to be happy to take that. Vita survived through all that, which is just insane. And Dulce, the RPs, man, like, those RPs were absolutely incredible. Landing 2 subsequent 3-man RPs. The follow-up was a little bit chaotic there. I guess Isurus didn't quite know the positioning of their supports, but it worked out in the end, and, well, there's a team wipe for Isurus. I don't think you have to say much more than that.
No. At this point, Isurus looks to be just a clean 2-0 sweep over Battlezone. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to see Battlezone very much, and although they have the names to back it up, it seems that their play is a little bit less. Isurus looking a lot tighter.
I think maybe the problem is that they just have to switch up their strategies. Like both these 2 games, we saw them go for more or less the same strategy. We're going to get a little bit ahead and then cascade into your towers type of strategy, which is fine, and if it works out, then yeah, go for it again. But if you lose the first time to it, then maybe it's time to switch it up and pick up like a Spectre or Medusa or an Anti-Mage, and then just try to play a different strat, because this one clearly did not work for them.
Alrighty, so we have a Battle Fury Witch Doctor. I'm really curious to see how many times that's actually been built. We do have a dive in from the enemy base, and well, this is going to be yet another full team wipe, as an Ultra Kill for Pepita pretty much spells it out. GG, unfortunately, before I was able to check out our Battle Fury stats for Witch Doctor. But regardless, Isurus looking really solid throughout this entire series.
And Isurus crushed their way past Battlezone in a very fast 2-0. I want to say that was the first Battle Fury on Witch Doctor. Obviously, I don't know the official stats, but personally, that's a first. I don't know if he actually hit anyone with the item, though, so I don't know if we could count it as a Battle Fury Witch Doctor, but it's there. We have Pepita with an 18-0-10 Anti-Mage, and it doesn't even matter what the rest of their team does at that point. Isurus, that Anti-Mage with that much cash can do just so many things, and it's enough to steamroll Battlezone, who are now, unfortunately for them, out of the South American Challenge. And now Isurus, they have a future date with Union Gaming in about 5 days, I think. That's not right. It's going to come up sooner or later, guys, but that's going to be it for us today. Isurus 2-0ing Battlezone in 2 very decisive games. We hope you guys enjoyed the games. If you did, be sure to hit that follow button. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook.com/HeflaTV. I'm Mikelorus. You can find me on Twitter at Mikelorus. He's GrandisV. You can find him at Twitter at GrandisV. Any final words before we close this out, man? Seems like that's a no, guys. We'll see you next time.